Merry Christmas. It seems that phrase now has a deeper resonance, with this being the second Christmas during the pandemic. But even when our lives are disrupted and difficult, we need to seize joy and purpose. And so I say to you, Merry Christmas. And when I say that phrase, it conveys some of the most basic things. It means there is God, and that you are being loved by God beyond your wildest imagination. You are being held right now. Merry Christmas. And that phrase, it means Jesus Christ, this great gift that God has given us, and that in Jesus Christ we can see the model of how to live with compassion, to live fully with joy. And so I say to you, Merry Christmas. I want to tell you now about a nativity scene that went haywire. But out of that chaos will come my Christmas message. So live nativities now are popular all across America. But do you know the origin of a live nativity? It goes back to the year 1223. The first one ever was created by Saint Francis of Assisi, that wonderful saint who was on the side of the poor, who loved nature and animals. It was in 1223 that Saint Francis of Assisi was going to a small Italian village to preach. It was around Christmas time, and he set up the first nativity scene. He put a little manger with hay and just one donkey, and he preached by that manger. It is said that he became so moved by the image of a baby in a manger and by the love that that scene represented, that he was so moved he couldn't even say the word Jesus. He was weeping for joy. Well, live nativities now have taken off, and they show up in towns all over America, but they're a lot bigger than that original nativity scene. Now we don't just have a donkey and an empty manger. We have live babies, and we have sheep, and we have angels and shepherds and Mary and Joseph. It's a complex scene. So things can get out of hand. A few years ago, in a Midwestern town, there was a large live nativity on the front lawn of a church, and it was Saturday night. And there were hundreds of families and children going by the nativity scene to see it. But you know, in a live nativity scene, things can happen. The cow can begin to nibble on the angel's wings, or the donkey can start kicking the dog. These nativities now have dogs and chickens and lots of animals. Or there's diapers to be changed, etc. A lot can go on. Well, in the midst of this big live nativity, suddenly Joseph fell over in full cardiac arrest. But thankfully, one of the angels was a registered nurse, so she pounced upon Joseph and began to give chest compressions. But to all the children passing that nativity, it looked like the angel had just attacked Joseph and was beating him up. Now, Joseph was revived. He was just fine. But for all those children watching it, they might need some therapy now. Nativities can get out of hand. And so it's out of the chaos of that nativity scene that comes my Christmas message, because I think we need to resuscitate Christmas itself this year. We need to revive it. Now, I don't mean Christmas is in full cardiac arrest, but these are difficult times, and we need to focus again on the most basic values that are being conveyed by the Christmas story. And so I want to tell you that in a nativity scene, what's actually being presented are also the most basic virtues. It's not just animals and hay and characters. The most basic values are being presented. These are good persons. You see, the central meaning to life is to develop your most noble traits, to be a good person. In fact, there is no failure in life except if you fail to be a good person. You're not a failure if you don't achieve financial success. You're not a failure if you don't achieve all your goals or objectives, or even if your relationships have become broken or bad things are happening in your life. That doesn't make you a failure. We are only a failure when we're a bad person. And almost everyone wants to be a good person, and there's always a chance to move that direction. And so as each one of us strives to be a good person, see in that nativity the most basic virtues that you need to realize in your own life. Around the nativity are the 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. Those are the 4 virtues that Plato talked about in the Republic, but they became the 4 cardinal virtues of Western civilization. It's those virtues that make you a good person. You can see those in Joseph. Think of how when he heard that Mary was pregnant outside of marriage, that he showed a wisdom. Wisdom, that virtue refers to how you can discern the appropriate course of action, even in a complex time. He showed courage and wisdom. Courage means you don't buckle under fear or intimidation. You do what is right. You maintain your integrity. Temperance is when you show restraint and moderation. Look at how even-keeled Joseph was and how he accepted the pregnancy and kept the family together. And justice, what was fair and right. See how Mary displays those virtues when the angel Gabriel tells her she will bear God's son, how she shows the wisdom and the courage and the temperance and the justice to stay with the plan, the divine plan. We have the wise men at the Nativity. See that the virtues of wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice are all through the Nativity. See the goodness. This is what we need to revive or resuscitate this year, to reclaim those basic values. You are a good person. Or if you've gone sideways, you can choose again now to reclaim those basic virtues. You are a good person. We have our Christ before us. Merry Christmas.